I'm Cody, and this is Suspend Disbelief, the show where we talk about the paranormal, the taboo, and otherwise mysterious occurrences in our universe. We have a very special episode for you tonight. We are telling Indigenous ghost stories with Mark Cody, and his wonderful wife, Kate Cody. We're here to rock and roll. So we're back. Here we go. We did an episode on military ghost stories. Doc told us all about his experience in the military. Really good. Check it out. It was the last episode. And so now we're going to hear a little bit more from Kate about her experiences being Indigenous Canadian. And then, of course, Doc and I are going to tell some Oklahoma ghost stories, all that stuff. So let's hear from Kate. Kate, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in the United States? What was life like growing up in Canada as a Native American?
Dang, so I've been in the States for 2 years that I've lived here officially, but I was like volunteering back and forth between Canada and the US for like a year before that. I kind of like to come down here and do random schooling or volunteering in Texas. And that's how I met Doc. But in Canada, my experience as an Indigenous kid growing up was a little different because I went through foster care.
Do you guys call yourself Native Americans up there or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
What we don't say is that I've heard down here, you guys call yourselves as Indians.
Yeah.
In Canada, that's like the worst thing you could
It's like
call
the
yourself.
N-word.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
our word.
No, I accidentally said it in front of my mom after hanging out with
Yeah.
him too long. And she was just like, she got so mad at me.
Wow. And little education here for you guys. Don't say Indian. Don't say Indian. That's literally what we say. We're in on the joke. We've adopted it. That's what we call ourselves. You're not allowed to say it. So you can say Native Americans or what people are calling now Indigenous. My only problem with Indigenous is that everywhere Indigenous people are Indigenous. You know, it doesn't specify Native Americans as being Indigenous. Native American was the term that we had growing up when I was a kid. That was more common a couple of years ago. It kind of was a broad term, Indigenous. But yeah, when I was a kid, we just call ourselves natives, which is still kind of what I refer to myself as. You know, I was like, are you native? If I meet somebody, what tribe are you? You native? But as ourselves, we just call ourselves Indians. Or the letters Indian, you'll see that a lot on like Native American social media pages and stuff like that. And that's just a flag to each other. Like, I'm Indian, are you Indian? Like, yes. So we're allowed to call ourselves that. But if you're not Native or you're not in on the culture, you haven't done your research, if you are Native, you really shouldn't say it unless you're learning more about your culture, you're spending time with your people, all of that stuff. So just a little, education there. And I was just curious in what, Canadian.
You made a new one.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Canadian Indigenous people call themselves. I know First Nations is pretty popular
First
up there.
Nations, mostly Indigenous, I'd say. I've never been like on top of staying politically correct with it because, I don't know, I just am. I didn't go to university, so.
Go to university. Which we'd say here, go to college.
Well, I did go to college, but not university. I don't know if I'm a nerd or if that's normal for Canadians to know the difference.
I'm assuming you mean like community college. Is that college? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Right on. Lots of differences already. All right, go on. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. What was your life like growing up?
Okay, well, I grew up with my Cree mom for 5 years in the middle of Saskatchewan. There's a lot of Cree there, and I remember a lot from back then. And then after that, me and my siblings ended up in the foster care system, and we were only with white families after that, and eventually got adopted into one that already had 9 kids. And then they had another one.
Dang, who is this family?
They adopted 5 of us. All 5 of us. So, and that family is a whole nother experience on like the opposite end of the spectrum, because my native family, like, they had a lot of like difficult things they went through and like gang related stuff. And um my dad my dad was white and he was a very evil man, to be honest. And the way he interacted with natives was just very wrong. But you know, I wouldn't be around if he hadn't met my mom. But yeah, it's very different being native in Canada. um the system really tries to like break native families up. My uncle tried to adopt me and they wouldn't let him. So um and I always wanted to get in touch with my culture and talk about being native, but I felt like very silenced about it. And that was really difficult. My adoptive family didn't know how to like deal with the fact I had a life before them and that I wasn't them. Like they were very like kind of German, and they were just basically like, you're one of us now. You didn't have a past. You don't have any other parents. We're your family now, and now you're German, and don't talk about being native. So, for a lot of growing up, if I did talk about it, I would get in trouble. And so I just learned to conform really fast. Which is funny because they liked that and they hated it at the same time because they were like, you're just acting like us in a fake way. And they were like, you're so good at acting, you could be anybody. And I was just like, okay, but you want me to be you. So um but being adopted onto this on they had a ranch, and uh there was a native graveyard on there that they were aware of. um and they like I don't want to they weren't like intentionally racist, but I feel like they were, in the fact like I couldn't acknowledge my heritage. I think people in Canada in general are actually a lot more racist than Americans, especially to natives. Like he and I went up there last summer and somebody tried to kick us out of a hotel. We were trying to get breakfast and the lady behind the counter saw like natives and basically tried to come up with an excuse to get us out of there. Like even she tried to be like, "Oh, you look underage and we have alcohol here, so get out." But even after I showed her my ID, she tried arguing with it.
Well, yeah, here in the United States we have Mexicans, so the white people care more about getting them out than Native Americans.
Dang. Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. So going back to your family, they adopted five of you guys, and immediately kind of whitewashed all of you, made you kind of forget your own culture, didn't let you, try to relearn your culture or, dive more deep into learning about your culture. And that's kind of, all of what I mean, in a nutshell, it's what Native Americans have been experiencing for the past, 500 years is, that with the boarding schools, that's pretty much it. And you lived it all in your own life. And that's really is truly heartbreaking. I mean, it's a good thing now that you're out of there and you made it out and you're able to learn more about your culture without having to worry about disappointing anybody or having somebody, I don't know, shun you from the family or something like that. Because yeah, that truly is heartbreaking. And like you said, like they are up there in Canada unintentionally racist. And I feel like most people who are racist, they don't know.
Yeah.
They are
They really think
not
they're the most
naive, but
unracist
they're
people.
ignorant in the sense of like they don't want to learn the right way to, I don't know, to do things and to treat people. And it is heartbreaking. And unfortunately, as Native Americans, that's our life. Um, So yeah, sorry that you had to go through that, and I hope that you do try to rediscover your roots and that you learn your people's language and your history and all of that stuff. And I'm sorry that a lot of those years of your childhood and were were taken away from you. I mean, as somebody who grew up from a Christian family, you have those families who are more tradish, and then you have families who kind of grew up Christian. And back in the like early 1900s, all the way out to the 80s, 90s, you couldn't really do both. You couldn't practice your culture. You couldn't go to powwows. You couldn't dance, and then also go to church on a Sunday, because when you went to church, everybody would think that what you're doing is witchcraft and you're worshiping deities, and that's not the way of God. And fortunately, we are in a time now that you can do both, and that you can believe both, where you could go dance at a powwow and you're praying to God, the creator, the great mystery of the universe, and still be praying to the same Jesus Christ, the same God that a lot of people believe and Christianity believes. I will say that the worst part about Christianity are the Christians. We all know that, and that's one thing that when colonizers came to try to destroy the Indian and save the man, or whatever they said, is
Kill the savage, save the man.
yeah, kill the Indian, kill the savage, save the man, is like they were going about it all absolutely the wrong way. But the teachings of the Bible and all of that stuff, like, was still good, you know. And so there was a lot of long lasting legacy in our family from very strong Christians and very strong prayer warriors. But that means that we lost a lot of education and we lost a lot of our own culture, because there was that divide where Christians told you couldn't do both. And so our family, specifically the Cody family, we are having to relearn a lot of our culture, because our parents, my dad and his dad, our grandmother wouldn't teach them our own language, even though she was fluent. She wouldn't speak to our parents in Kiowa, because she thought that your life would be so much easier if you grow up white. You know, if you don't have that accent, that pigeon.
Which it might be easier.
No, it absolutely
Actually,
is.
like,
It absolutely is. And it is heartbreaking, and it helped our parents have better lives because of it. But at the cost, they lost a part of their soul, which was our own people's culture and history and all of these teachings that our dads never got to learn from their parents. And it's a sacrifice, unfortunately, that we will never be able to really get back. But as adults now, we can use internet and use technology and use the people that are still alive to help us learn these stories about our culture and about our tribe, about our people. Yeah, so we can preserve what we have and still be able to teach our kids and our grandkids and all of that stuff. And so it's very interesting that we are in a place where we can learn more about our people. But it still stinks that our parents, our dads, were robbed of those teachings, of those ways. So that sucks.
Not even to blame them. Like our
No.
grandmother, grandfather, like is beaten out of them.
Yeah,
at residential schools. Like,
oh yeah,
even our aunt Tex, like even as far back as then, like in the 70s, it was still going on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, one of my aunts was in a residential school too.
And Canada has it so much worse.
They did have it worse. From what I hear, they had it a lot worse than America did. Just crazy, because we, live here, and we're like, we're the hub for the most
really bad too.
racist people in the
It was
world.
just a little further back.
And you hear about Canada, and you're like, oh boy, aren't they supposed to be nice up there? You hear all these stories, hundreds of bodies being dug up at these residential schools. It's just crazy. Now, I will say that they haven't started digging at our residential schools yet. So who knows what they might find here in the United States. Um, but either way, incredibly heartbreaking, horrible, all of that stuff. Sorry to go on a tangent, guys. But, we're here to learn.
Out to our culture.
Yeah, it's our culture, so we're going to talk about it. But of course, we got some scary stories, so stay tuned, guys. Okay, so going back to the ranch house.
Yes.
It was built on an Indian burial site, which of course sounds like
it was
a movie
like
from the
a
80s
huge ranch,
or something
like
like
this
that.
ranch, you
Mhm.
stand at their house, and as far as you can see, that's their land.
Wow.
And this is in the prairie, so like people in Canada just like have bigger pieces of land. There's a lot less people. The land there is also like not that great quality, so it's like cheaper, I guess.
So what all crazy experiences have you had on there, or stories that you've heard about the ranch?
Well, so dang. It started with just weird things happening at night. Like we had animals. I'd go out at midnight to check up on lambing season because we had sheep, and so I'd be like making sure these mama sheep were giving birth all right. And as I was out there, like one night, me and my sister, we were out there and we heard little kids laughing and talking. I know.
Ooh.
Then there was like 3 house sites on this land, and one of the houses my dad made into his shop. And a man named Mr. Pope died in there. We would like sense Mr. Pope everywhere. Like random things would happen and we'd just be like, yeah, that's him. And if you went into his house and you went into the basement, which we had to go there all the time, you would walk back up the steps and hear somebody coming up behind you.
That is the scariest thing I could ever
scary.
imagine.
I would run every time.
Every single time. I would still be running to this day.
I would be like singing hymns and praying on my way up those stairs.
Yo, I was wondering, I was in your house earlier and I heard something walking behind me. Yo. Okay. A freaking hospital. No, for real. I walked into their house earlier. I was walking up and it was like the freaking haunted mansion. The door opened before I even got there. I said, it was coming.
I did that with my mind.
Oh, shoot. Mr. Pope, he's here.
He followed
her.
That reminds I have something to tell you about that
All
too.
right, let's go.
But before I get there, Mr. Pope, yeah, you would be in the basement or you'd hear him walking upstairs. And so like we're all terrified of that. We called it the shop and that was just a thing. Like that was normal. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time alone because my childhood was very traumatizing and I would just like go outside and collect fossils and that was my escape. Like I would go out and there'd be like random like owls everywhere and if you're like a Native American that's like scary.
Yo.
I was like out there once just like being dramatic and 3 owls started circling above me.
What?
Yeah.
They don't do that.
No,
That's
they don't do that at all. But they just started doing that for no reason. I always felt like there was like as a kid, and my family didn't teach me this because they don't believe in this, but I always felt like there were spirits there that watched over me. That were like taking care of me because I was Indigenous. And like I grew up Christian, even in foster care, like and I always believed in God, and like that was like a very general, like I didn't have any specific idea of who God was, but I believed in God and saw a lot of spiritual things growing up. But the situation with my adoptive family got really bad. It started to be like our parents were hating on us adopted kids and showing a lot of favoritism to their own. Us kids were like getting beat and blamed and like
dang.
they were starting to say we were demon possessed and like personality traits they would claim were like demonic possession. Like we would get in trouble for laughing too loud. And
Dang, as a Native American woman, yo.
they're not wrong.
Like, dang, you possessed, girl. You
No,
proof.
me and my sisters are all the same. Like literally, our whole family is known for our laugh in Saskatchewan. We
that unhinged jaw laugh.
Indigenous.
Oh my gosh.
You gotta have subtitles later. Be like Indigenous.
Indigenous laughing.
Indigenous creature noises.
Indigenous creature noises.
But so yeah, these things were happening, and then one of my sisters, like, she really struggled with mental health issues, and so it was really getting to her that some of us kids were like treated worse in different ways, and for her, she was the one that was like always accused of demonic possession, and she kind of fed into it a little bit. She was like, I'm gonna put a curse on this land.
Yo, I probably would do the same thing. Like,
honestly,
white people, boo.
I'm like, and it got to the point where she was so desperate to like get away that she would like act out very like violently because she wanted the cops to basically show up and help her get away. And we all had our different ways of escaping. I was the oldest kid, so I feel like I was a lot more like methodical and calculated and kind of responsible about it. But for her, like she didn't know and we didn't feel like we could talk to each other. They wouldn't let us. They wouldn't let us be alone together.
What?
They wouldn't let us talk to each other. Like my mom I had like very challenging views to my parents, and my mom was so worried about me influencing my little sisters that she started playing sermons during every mealtime. And it was not optional. Like,
this is insane.
Yeah, and she even built a house separate just for one of my sisters to stay in to keep her away from everyone else. And she was like, yeah, you're going to be in there for the rest of your life because you can't do life on your own. Yeah, it got bad. And like, I want to it's too late to preface this, but like, it is very different now. And a lot of us got out of there. And there was a lot of like outside involvement that eventually happened, and my parents basically realized they had to smarten up and treat their kids better or it was gonna fuck up everything. And I think my mom is narcissistic and very worried about her image, so if she saw that was at risk, and so she kind of fixed it, so like it's a lot better than it used to be. But yeah, there was a point where it was just like it was horrible. And this one sister, so she did a little like curse over the land, and she casually tried to like kill me once, and then she started having these night terrors, and we would wake up to hear her screaming, and we would go to her room and she'd be like talking about the things that she's seeing. And the thing is, it wasn't just mental illness because we saw it too. We would see like ghosts showing up at our beds, and like the only way to make them go away was to pray. And I woke up one night and I remember feeling like God was telling me to pray, and I was like, God, it is 3 a.m. Don't feel like it. And I rolled over. And stupidest decision of my life, because immediately I felt a presence crawl into bed beside me.
Yo, Mr. Pope.
I couldn't see them, but it felt like a whole other person. And I was between them and my wall because I had a very small bed, and like a twin bed, and it was like a triple bunk too. So like there's this much space between me and the top. And
triple bunk? Dang.
Yeah, because so many kids, dude.
Close quarters. I see myself.
Jeez, yeah, man.
I put my blanket over my head and started praying so hard until that thing went away. And then a couple nights later, our aunt was visiting, and she was in a bed close to mine. And well, in the night, this happened again. I woke up and felt like, okay, I gotta pray. And I just I listened this time. I learned my lesson and I started praying. I'm like, I don't know why, but like something's going on and I'm supposed to pray. So I started praying. And the next morning, my aunt told me there was like something she couldn't see that was like choking her that night. And she was like trying to tell it to like get off her. And it didn't let go. And I asked her when it quit. And it was the same time that I woke up and started praying. And so, like, this wasn't just this sister, like, having mental illness or putting on a show. This was, like, real crazy shit going on.
There is power in prayer.
Wow.
But, yeah, and...
So, what happened next with your crazy sister?
Oh. Well, she kept trying to run away. And it's really difficult because we lived in the middle of nowhere in Canada, and she kept getting caught. Eventually, she was taken away by like social services, and she ended up going back into the system, and that was what she wanted, though. She wanted that, and my parents wanted that. They wanted nothing to do with each other anymore, and they basically signed her away as not their kid anymore. Yeah. And my I don't blame her. I don't blame her. My family got really fucked up because of the things we went through, and we don't talk anymore because some really bad things happened, and like I don't feel safe with her in my life, but like I love her and I love her from a distance. Yeah,
Did you
so
say something about an exorcism?
oh my gosh.
Are you allowed to talk about that?
Oh my lord. Yeah, so she told my parents she did the curse on our land, and my family were freaking out because these like spirits were harassing her the worst. Like she would be like foaming at the mouth and like screaming every night. And so my family was like, oh, she's demon possessed.
Okay, the foaming at the mouth. I'm like,
No, she
maybe.
did. I remember one time going in her room because I was the only one. My parents were gone, and her eyes were like red.
Oh my gosh.
And so and I just like stayed with her and prayed with her, and she was basically telling me to get out, but she was also like freaking out at the same time. And later she told me she was like scared of God, and she said she saw a God in me, and so she was terrified of that. And I still don't know really what to think of that, but that's interesting. And I felt safe. Like that whole time I felt like I was keeping my conscience clear. I was doing my best to just like be a good person and keep my soul at peace with God. And I didn't feel like I was going to be threatened by the things around me, even though, it crawled in my bed, but like that was a wild time. Um But yeah, so my family found out there was this priest like 4 hours away that did exorcisms. They took Julie in the van, made a day trip out there, and they performed an exorcism on her. And she claims she played along and acted the part. That's what she says to this day.
She acted the part. She crawled down the stairs backward, head turned all the way
You
around.
know, and they were all like crying and happy when she got home. They're like, oh, she's released from the demons.
Did
2
long
days
division.
2 days
No.
later, she was acting the same, like she was on good behavior for like 2 days. And then, we would keep the knives locked up at night because we were scared she was going to hurt us.
Seriously, I would do the
Because
same thing.
she would like, sometimes we would wake up to her standing at our bed just staring at us.
Okay, time to go. Dude. Time to go.
And like, for a little while, like, shortly after this all happened, I went to the States in Texas, and then I came back like a year later, and I reconnected with her, and we had a great relationship for a little bit. but you know, that
Didn't last long.
Short-lived.
it was short lived. Um, yeah, it's a very difficult life for her too, and she's trying her best. And going back in the system was not easy. And then
I mean, I imagine there's a lot of trauma in there. I mean, her whole life basically was
yeah,
trauma.
and she's got the cutest kid in the world.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Shout out
genuinely.
to Darren.
But
All right. Well, interesting. Okay, so you were robbed quite a bit of a lot of your indigenous roots.
yes.
We talked about that. What all spiritual creatures, Native American mythological creatures, do you guys have up there that you've heard about here in the United States?
Oh, I feel like we have a lot of the same stories, to be honest. Like
Like
the
what?
Wendigo, you know.
Okay.
Trying to think.
You have little people up there, right?
Oh yeah, the forest little people, you know.
Yo. I think my buddies in Montana, the Crow, they call them like stick people or something like that.
I was trying to think of the Cree word for it, but I can't remember.
Yeah. Obviously, guys got Bigfoot. I will say some of the best Bigfoot stories I've heard are from up there in your area, up there in Canada.
Yeah.
You guys got deer woman up there or what?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yo, do you know any deer woman stories?
Not personally, to be honest with you. I have some like interesting like stories about, well, my family is like they're very like spiritual and also have a history with medicine and stuff.
You.
Like we're all like clairvoyantly connected to each other. But like when it comes to like stories specifically from our culture, I didn't get the chance to learn about it, and so I don't want to like, I want to learn about it, but I also I'm going through like the identity crisis, I guess, of like being like, am I allowed to like claim it or talk about it even, you know?
Right on. Well, sweet. Doc, let's hear some spooky ghost stories from you, man. I've heard some personally around the campfire. Let's talk about them.
What specifically?
I don't know,
There's
man.
a couple.
Let's start from the bottom, work your way to the top.
Well, there's been, I can't, it's not like full stories, but just like mentions.
Mm-hmm.
My father, he was a police chief for however long he retired as a police chief for the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And he's like talked about seeing like a 6-foot owl on certain like calls, like driving up to a house in the middle of the night when it's full moonlight and like a 6-foot owl is like out there playing with kids at like midnight.
Oh my
Like, are
gosh.
you kidding me?
Dude, he's just hooping with them at the basketball court.
Just
Dunking
dancing
on 'em.
Yeah, just dancing. And I think he mentioned something about seeing the owls like he saw a group of owls like basically mimicking us and having like a powwow and like dancing in a circle.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
That's
And like they would like
insane.
fly up in the circle into the tree line and everything.
So who learned it from who?
Yeah.
Well, from what I hear, a lot of the things that we learned were gifted to us from the Bigfoot spirits and also little people. Like they've taught us songs, they've taught us dances. Both Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call them, Bigfoot spirit, and little people as well. At least that's what legends tell.
Yeah.
Tons of legends out there. Yo.
Oh, can we pause real quick?
Yeah, for sure.
I know who it is.
Pausing it. It's Mr. Poop. No.
Yo.
Dude, sometimes it feels like telling the stories about my family and the ranch in this lifetime is too soon. Like,
Yeah.
It's like that's for the next generation to tell.
All right, where did we leave off at?
Your dad talking about the owls.
Yeah.
Yo, oh my gosh, you have to get his dad. He like, I love it when he starts talking about stories.
We were just talking about it.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna get this guy's dad on. That'd be great. Sit around, just hear some stories from him. But It's all good. Just leave it off. Bro, just leave it off. Leave it off. It's fine. It's really just for wind. It's not,
It's
bro. Don't worry about it. I just thought
there you go.
your daytime apnea might help.
You know what?
Boy, you crazy.
All right, we had to take a break. There's a ghost at the door. No. The doc is telling us some stories from his dad. Continue.
Honestly, I can't remember much. You have to get it from the horse's mouth. But yeah, he just like responded to like calls where like strange things happening, where like they go up to a domestic call, domestic violence, and so this would be 2 officers, I think, and anyway they get there, and he goes to the front door and he tells his partner to go around back, and his partner says that he could have sworn he heard his my dad be like, "Hey, he ran out the front. Let's go," and starts like a chase out into the field to the woods, and he goes there, and then my dad meanwhile is going in the front and is like dealing with the situation, and then he's trying to radio him the whole time, be like, "Hey, where you at? Like, I need you here," and then he brings like the person, the suspect, back to the car, and then that's when his partner comes back. He's like, "Where were you the whole time?" And he's like, "I was following you." And he's like, "What do you mean? I never left the front door." And he's like, "What do you mean? I went like deep into the woods trying to follow your voice." Or no, he didn't go into the woods because he got to the edge of the woods and he heard his grandfather's voice be like, "Never follow a voice into the woods." So he stopped, and that's when he went back. And so,
But he was about ready to.
yeah, like he would, like he was a cop. So,
Sheesh.
like, that's the less detailed story, but like you got to hear it from my father.
We'll bring him in.
Yep.
Uncle Mark, you're coming on the pod sometime.
He's the best storyteller.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, just he's seen some crazy things too.
Wow. Heck yeah, let's get him on. Well, sweet. That's horrifying.
Yeah.
What are all some stuff that you've experienced outside of the military, before or after?
Okay, 1 is paranormal, 2 is at Cat Springs, so indigenous paranormal type.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the first one, I've been having nightmares for a couple weeks. I was about 15, and one morning I woke up with a red handprint on my chest, right here, and I put my hand to it, and I mean, camera won't do it justice, but it was much smaller than my handprint, so it couldn't possibly have been me, and no one else could have done it to me. But it looked like someone just like slapped me on my chest. But I woke up like that, and I looked in the mirror, and I was like, "What is that?" And like I said, I've been plagued with nightmares for like a couple of weeks during this, so I just prayed about it.
Do you remember the nightmares?
It was just like super like kind of like demonic nightmares.
You're like naked in a classroom.
No, like
He's laughing at you.
like
Lost all your teeth.
that's due to stress. No, but it was just like dealing with a dark entity that was blacker than like night itself type
Yo.
things. And so yeah. But my dad, he's a very spiritual person. He's deep in the faith. He's my role model. He prayed over me, and because I was very freaked out over it. I'd never been spiritually attacked like that in my life. And but we prayed over it. Eventually it went away. And yeah, that was to have a physical imprint on my chest.
Yeah, dude.
Was very jarring.
That's very spooky.
I was very yeah. That was when I didn't take my faith. I was 15. I didn't take my faith as serious as I do now. So and then later when I was about 18, um, on our land called Cat Springs. Me and my friends went, and this
How many friends were with you?
4, I believe. There was me, DJ, Kirby, and I think it was Bryce
Okay.
Thompson. And anyway, it was a Cat Springs where like it was raining pretty badly. Everyone took shelter at Aunt Becky's house or something.
Yeah. I
And
remember going to town that night, and we stayed at like the sketchy motel with the cockroaches and stuff like
oh
that.
no.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you and your buds were the only people that stayed out there.
Yep. Unbeknownst to us.
Wait,
Yeah, we all
so it was
feast
because
out.
it was storming?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We
Okay.
were we had dinner at the church.
Yeah.
And then we went back out because it was not as bad then. Then we had our tent set up, and 2 of my friends, Bryce and Kirby, I believe, wanted to stay in the tent, more spacious and everything. It was a big tent. And meanwhile, my friend DJ and I stayed in the truck to listen to like updates from the storm. And so, anyway, we were I was starting to doze off, and I told my friends beforehand, like just kind of like ground rules, like, hey, if anyone like whispers out to you from like the woods, don't follow it because it could either be like a prank or something worse. So, um, with that in mind, they heeded it, and I remember like around 11:30, my friend DJ, he nudged me awake, and he's like, hey, can I let so and so in? And I was like, no, they can just get in. And I just like turned back over and like fell back to sleep. And according to him, he like went from there and turned to this person because there's that one light out there,
Mm-hmm.
and it just kind of like makes everything a shadow. Like,
Oh yeah.
and so he turned to him and was like, not letting you in. And so he says, this person like stops, stays there for a bit, and then walks out towards the past the truck, past the tent and into the darkness. And he was like, that's kind of weird. And so after a while, about an hour, my friend Kirby comes in, and he's like, I was just getting wet in there, so I'm just gonna sleep in the truck too. And we're like, okay, cool. And the storm's getting worse as each hour passes, and it's just pouring and pouring. And eventually my friend DJ, he's like, hey, can you take me up to the outhouse by the light, because it's the only outhouse at that time. um I gotta use the bathroom. And I was like, okay. So like I drive up there, and he's like, honk if anything happens. And I said, okay. And he got out and uses the bathroom. And I was
Can you
just
hold
like,
my hand while I pee, please?
well, I drove
God,
him
go
up
up
there
there,
because it was
fool.
I drove him up there because it was downpouring. Anyway, um I like sit there, put it in park, and I'm just like thinking about nothing, and all of a sudden, boom, right in my driver's side window. I was like, what happened? I can cuss back. Um,
What the frick just happened?
Yeah.
Crying out loud.
Yeah, it's my friend Bryce, and he's in like just shorts and his like shirt, and he's like pounding on my door. And I roll down the window. I was like, what happened? He's like, let me in, let me in. And I let him in, and he gets in. He's like, dude, I just woke up. No one was around, and I heard my little brother calling for me out in the woods. We didn't bring his little brother. He was like very young at the time, like a kid, like not our age. Like we were 18, you must have been like 10 or such.
Okay.
And so I honk the horn, and my friend, what is it? Just like sprints out, gets in, and like he's like pants her around his ankles. And we just book it out of there and go to Aunt Nona's because we didn't know where else to go. Yeah. And so as we're driving, like there's like a flood going over the roads and everything, and like thankfully my truck made it. The Lord was watching over us. But making to Aunt Nona's and like staying the night. But on the way there, Kirby was telling me about the incident where he saw someone come up to the window, try to get in, and then walk past the tents, and we're like,
Bro.
we asked Bryce and everyone, and we're like, did you guys, was that you guys? And he's like, no, we've been sleeping that whole time until that point. And we're
Oh
like,
my gosh.
we're like, all right, let's not freak out. Must have been someone else or someone trying to mess with us.
Or something else.
Yeah.
Yo.
And so we wake up in the morning, everything's all, birds are chirping and everything, and then go to Aunt Becky's house and everyone's there. And we're like, okay, yeah, so who was all out there last night? And everyone's like, no one, we were all here. And we were just like, we looked at each other, we're like, bro, what do you mean?
Then there was like something on the truck too, right?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. My truck was tinted, and in the daylight you could see 3 scratches in the back right passenger side window. And it was there. I wasn't tripping. It was there when my because we ended up selling it to Nick Miller.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And he brought it back and it was still there. And we were like,
no way.
we were not tripping. So
Yo.
Oh my gosh.
like we still freak out and talk about it to this day.
I know. I love asking him to tell it again.
I know, me too. Yeah, that's the one I couldn't wait to hear. Dude, that is so freaking scary. Holy cow. Yeah, so we're at Cat Springs, which is our family land out near the Wichita Mountains in Oklahoma, southwest Oklahoma. And lots of spooky stuff happens out there, out on the lands. It's near the Slick Hills. And so, I mean, people call it like a paranormal hotspot out there in that area. Lots of spooky stuff happens out there. But yeah, we were out there a couple weeks ago for Memorial Day weekend, and we're camping, and we're all hanging out late. It's probably 1 a.m. in the morning, and storms rolling in. And it was just nice and windy. It was perfect weather, honestly. Perfect campfire, just the adults around, and we're telling stories. We're cracking each other up and stuff. And then the wind just like stops for a good solid like 10 minutes. I'm like, okay. And out there in that area, there's just tons of wind turbines. And so, like, for the first time, we could finally hear them, like, and I don't know what happened, but my wife, Sarah, she was out there. She's like, do you guys hear that? I'm like, yeah, but we're pretending we don't. And it literally sounded like somebody was, like, banging something really hard on some metal. And then she's like, it sounds like drums. I was like, yo, it does sound like drums. It could have just been the wind turbine spinning around, making a weird noise.
Mechanical issue.
But it did sound like some like powwow drums out there, which is a phenomenon they call phantom drums, where you'll hear it sometimes out on haunted lands, especially like Native American haunted lands and stuff like that.
I've heard that on my family's ranch.
Yo, but if she heard it, and we all heard it, I was like, you know what? We're not hearing anything. But yeah, that was just a couple weeks ago. It was very spooky. Exactly. Like, you know what? We're protected. You know, we're our family, we have protective medicine that we can't even fathom, that we can't even imagine. And also, like, we believe in the blood of the Holy Spirit as well. Blood of Jesus is protecting us. And so, like, there are those things that happen that we're like, you know what? I believe I'm strong in my faith. I'll be okay. That was one of those moments. I was like, yoo! And that, oh my gosh, I'm just remembering that night was crazy because the storm came in not an hour later. And I'm a hammock camper. I love sleeping in the trees under a hammock. And I knew the rain was coming, so I had my rain fly over the hammock, you know. And so the wind starts coming in because the wind stopped because it was going one direction. And then it stopped for a good solid 10 minutes. And that's a bad sign because you know it's coming the other direction. And that's exactly what happened. You can see the lightning in the distance. You can hear the thunder. You see just like flashes here and there. And you're like, oh boy, I'm going to risk it. I don't want to sleep in my car. I'm going to sleep in my hammock. I got my rain fly. At this point, I'm like 6 beers deep probably. And I'm like, nah, I'll be fine. So I got my rain fly and I'm sleeping. And I lay down. Not 10 minutes goes by and the wind is like swinging me back and forth. Like, oh, this is kind of nice. Got my headphones in because I needed to block out the the sound and play a podcast. Exactly. Just hear that tarp flying back and forth, and down there by the creek can be so scary. And luckily, my buddy Justin was sleeping next to me in a different hammock, different tree. Not in the same hammock. No. But I knew that he was out there down there with me, so I was like, okay, well, I got somebody down here. And what's always dangerous with hammock camping is in Oklahoma we have tons of wind. And when that wind comes, man, it blows those trees back and forth. And so if there are any dead branches, man, they're coming down. And sure enough, man, I hear and I'm half asleep, and I immediately just like cover up like this. And then I hear it just hit the ground. I'm like, I'm like feeling my body. I'm like, am I alive? I'm still alive. And then I hear my cousin JC. He's like, get out of here, the storm's coming, the storm's coming. And I think a tornado's here, so I just like jump out of bed. I don't even have shoes on. I'm running through mud without any shoes on. I run to my car and car camp for the rest of the night. But sure enough, he said, there's widowmakers in the tree. I'm like, widowmakers? What's that supposed to mean? But sure enough, there's like a good 7-foot, 100-pound branch that landed not 5 feet away from my hammock that could have just just leveled me. And I was like, dang, I need to be more careful out there.
No, you know that Angel just caught that.
Yeah. It was him. Just like...
Yeah. Oh, dang. Okay, awesome. Any other spooky stories?
You haven't talked about the Gap on any other...
No, we have not really talked about the Gap on any of our podcasts, so let's dive into it. So anybody local to Southwest Oklahoma, in the Kiowa, Comanche, Apache tribes, anything like that, they'll probably know about this haunted highway called the Gap. And it's a highway that connects Carnegie to Lawton. And back in the day, this highway was just like, like a gravel dirt highway that cut through the mountains, that cut through the woods, and it is absolutely a paranormal hotspot. Lots of unbelievable, spooky things happen on this highway. And back when we were kids, our Aunt Carol, rest in peace, she would always take us out to the Gap, and we'd go out there and she'd tell scary stories, pretend the car was breaking down, turn the headlights off and start screaming, it won't start.
Is this the same highway that like
we drive through to
Native Americans always die on? Yep. That Uncle Spencer was talking about?
There's 2 different highways. There's Indian Road and then there's the Gap.
Okay, I was thinking of Indian Road.
Yeah.
I always thought it was the same.
It's not the same. There are 2 different ones. But the Gap is one that frequently people see deer omen on, and they'll see other entities as well. Do you know any stories from the Gap?
Just the one that was passed down to me about I think it was the aunties, or maybe
about deer omen.
Wolf one.
Yeah. Well, that one too. Yeah. There was a wolf like staying up with the car, but then the one where they picked up the old woman with her face obscured.
Yeah.
And a hood on.
Oh yeah.
And they didn't say anything. Just dropped her off to the next town, and then.
Yeah. Yeah, that one is spooky.
Be a ghost and scare y'all someday.
Could be soon. No.
With this autoimmune disease I got, yeah.
Dang. Well, I'm trying to think of a spooky story I haven't told on the show yet. I'm sure there are some.
I mean, some famous ones would include like not looking in the rear mirror if you do happen to.
There are some superstitions. Yeah, one is when you're driving through the Gap, don't look back. Don't look in the rearview mirror, because if you do, you might see something either on the road behind you or someone in your back seat. Yo.
Oh. But like, if you're like a person that can't see spirits or anything, those things like naturally too. Like, if you look for it, you're gonna see it.
Absolutely, yeah. Doesn't your mom have a story from the Gap?
I think that's the one I was just talking about her. That's her side of the family. I don't know it by word, so that.
Gotcha. Well, so let's tell some deer omen stories. I got time. So deer omen is an entity, a mythological creature, in Native American culture who's got a bunch of different origin stories. The one that I've heard is that she was uh, an Indian woman way back, way back in the day, and she was physically abused by some Indian men, and they left her to die out in the woods. And as she was dying, a doe, a deer, came and laid next to her to comfort her as she passed.
Female deer.
A female deer. And so she came back as a vengeful spirit who is often seen in many forms. She can transform from a deer to a woman, a beautiful woman, or sometimes an old woman. But the one consistent thing about her story, about stories about deer woman, is that she doesn't have human feet. She has hooves for feet. And so you'll hear a lot about deer woman. And every single time they're like, she didn't have feet. She had hooves. It's like, yo, this is a chill
But they
down
say
my
they're
spine.
so real. Like, I really believe in them. Like,
Oh, absolutely. So that's the origin that I heard. But yeah, out there on the Gap, you'll hear stories about deer woman. But here's a story that I haven't told on the pod before, and this is a story that I heard around the campfire when I was a youngin' that doesn't really get told a whole lot anymore. But it was from our Aunt Tommy, and Doc and I both have an aunt. She passed away in 2004, and she loved both him and I very much. She favorited us as her nephew. She didn't have any children of her own. But when I was a kid, I shared my middle name is Thomas, and so she liked to pretend like I was named after her, Aunt Tommy. And so she would come and pick me up, and I would spend the weekend at her house. And I loved Aunt Tommy a whole lot. She was a bigger lady. She was, just real Indian, real stoic, and real stern.
Loving.
Very loving. Absolutely, just the epitome of just like of a good person, of someone being Christ-like. Well, she worked out at a residential school here in Oklahoma called Riverside, and that school is still around. Back in the day, of course, it used to be owned by the American government, and it used to be for transforming Native American kids into, conforming them into, Americans. We'll just say that. And since then, Native American governments kind of have taken control over it, where it is really just kids who don't have anywhere to live, or their parents aren't in a place where they can support them, where they will go and live there for 9 months out of the year, and they'll go to school, they'll do sports, they live there on campus. It's a boarding school, just for Native American kids. And she lived pretty close. Our Uncle Mike used to work there as well. She worked out there, and it's a pretty small school, only a couple hundred students on the campus, and I believe it goes all the way from like kindergarten through 12th grade. I'm not exactly sure, but so she worked out there, and she worked out for many years. Everybody knew Aunt Tommy, and they all had good things to say about her, and she was a very honest person. And this is a story that I heard, that one night she's working overnight, and then one of her coworkers was like, "Hey, come outside. There's a lady on the roof." And everybody goes outside, and on the roof of one of their buildings, they just see a woman walking back and forth, but they can only see her when she peeks over and looks at them, and then just is walking around. And it looked like that lady was lost up on the roof and just couldn't find her way down. And so they're like, "Hey, come on down. Take the stairs over here. Take the ladder over here." And the lady just kept looking around, looking down, and Tommy, she had a really bad feeling about this, because, like, why is there a woman up on the roof? There shouldn't be a woman up on that roof. And I'm not extremely familiar with the campus out there at Riverside, but apparently this building was not too far away from this football field, which has, lights and stuff, enough lights where you can kind of see what's going on. And after a while, they're watching this lady go back and forth and trying to help her down, but she wouldn't communicate to anybody. But all of a sudden, they see a deer jump off that roof and land, and just start frolicking, just taking off, They see it run right through that football field, all the lights and everything like that. And that's basically the end of the story from what I remember. But I just remember everybody being like, "Yo, was that her? Was that deer woman?"
Exciting.
Yo, that one actually, I had the chills telling that one. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that one. That one's very spooky.
I told you about Concho.
Yeah, let's talk about Concho Boarding School.
Yeah. My dad, like I said, my dad has all the stories. He used to patrol out there.
Yeah.
Out in the El Reno, Concho area. And there used to be a boarding school, just like Riverside out there, and it burned down actually. So I've actually been out there multiple times. You can just feel the air shift.
Is that the one that you and I went to last fall?
With Emma.
That was so creepy.
You can feel the air shift. Like, it's that creepy. I've been there. I've walked the hallways. I've walked the basements and the gymnasium. It's a heavy air presence. Like, the air feels heavy.
Yeah, and talking about the Concho Boarding School, it's out near El Reno, Oklahoma. It's shut down now, but famously known for taking in Native American kids, cutting their hair, making them, like, forcing them not to speak their own languages, and beating them if they did. And it hasn't been functional for, I don't know, a couple decades now, maybe like 30 years or so.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing this documentary about it a while back.
Yeah.
Like, this whole place is, like, now it's just like it's a biohazard, like,
Asbestos.
yeah. Well, I mean, like, yeah, there are tons of chemicals and stuff like that out there, which who knows how many of those affected the kids that went to school there. But specifically, like, the lead paint, like, the kids would chip off the lead paint and eat it because it tasted sweet, give them lead poisoning, which of course makes you go crazy, makes you go mad. It really is heartbreaking.
When we were there last fall with my friend, she's like a medium, like a
Yeah.
witch or whatever, and she said she saw somebody watching us from the building, and like all of us, the way we felt like somebody was watching us, we were all too scared to get out of the truck. Like, we didn't even go in and check because it felt like there was somebody there, and it didn't feel good.
Yeah.
And it also jogged my memory about the phantom drums. We went out there one time with my friends, same group of friends that I mentioned earlier. We went out there and we could hear drums. I'm not sure if there was actually a powwow out there or it was a case of the phantom drums, but we could hear it like playing like as a powwow type. And we were like going through this basement of one of the buildings, and they were just like a presence in the air about it. But yeah, like the place is all like burned down, and not like completely burned down, like the structure's still there, but like the rooms are obviously like haven't been affected by like decay and fire and elements and everything. So yeah, I want to take Cary out there one day.
Oh, I would love to go. I want to do a whole ghost hunting series and do one out there. But talk about, you said your dad used to patrol out there. Does he have any scary stories out there?
Yeah. I'm gonna kind of censor this a little bit, but there used to be a known person that would go out there intentionally out there. His name was Vincent. He had a nickname that will not disclose. Um, but when they would get calls about him because he would be causing such a ruckus down there that whenever they would like try to arrest him, he would be like trying to like he would growl and bite at them. And it was only at nighttime that they would get these calls. And so he'd be in handcuffs and he'd be trying to bite him and like growl and be foaming at the mouth. And like
did he call
He got that
in,
dog in him.
called in?
it's right, it's like right next to like the casinos and everything. So
it is. When you and I went there was like a building nearby with like 20 trucks at it.
well, that's new. But there is like the cultural, I don't know if it's a cultural center, but there's a building over there. And but yeah, he'd cause problems out there, but he'd be very aggressive and violent, almost as if he was possessed. And so, like I said, my dad could probably go into more detail about it, but
Yo, has your dad seen any ghosts or anything out there?
I'm not sure myself. Oh, when when we went out there one time, um, when we were exploring the hallways, like the dorms, and the gym, one of my friends stayed back because he was very freaked out. Um, he was just trying to like be on his phone and like ignore his like thoughts and feelings and everything, but he said he saw like an older looking Native American, like not an uncle, but like in like an old school
Old
Native
timey
American.
clothes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he saw like it like kind of look at him and then walk off into the field. That's like right out there.
Yo, was his friend white?
Yeah, it was Bryce.
I'd be a little scared if I was a white person and saw a whole. I don't know about you guys, but my native family, they're like they experience so many bad things at the hands of white people, so there's still a lot of like resentment and fear.
So sorry. You know what do they call it up north when they take the Native Americans and drive them to the edge of town?
Oh my gosh, and Starlight Tours. So
So-
my home city, Saskatoon, the cops there. This is all
To this day.
there's rumor that it still happens, but this came out this really happened. The cops would take Native Americans that were like drunk or like outside of like walking home at night, and they would take them, drive them far out of the city and drop them off in the middle of nowhere. And this is Canada, it's freezing cold. They would freeze to death.
Wow.
So basically, like what they try to do, the Rambo
Blood. They call it the Starlight Tour. So the cops would like tell them, "Hey, we're gonna take you home." They would purposely pick Native people and take them to the middle of nowhere and leave them there to die. And
I can only imagine how many like souls and spirits are lost. Like
and that was a real thing. Like they got in huge trouble for it. There's news articles, you can look it up.
Starlight Tours, huh?
Starlight Tours in Saskatoon. That's where I was born. No, one of my uncles went missing for like years and years, and I thought that happened to him until he started posting on Facebook again. The hotties in
You're alive?
I started telling the hotties in Miami. I'm like, for 10 years we thought you were dead.
You thought you were a popsicle, bro. Just hopped on Facebook. Where are the white girls at?
Like, dang.
Jeez. Uncles, man. Jeez.
He was posting strictly for the hotties in Florida.
Oh my gosh. Well, dang.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, that's all I got. If you guys have anything else, any last stories? All right, let's wrap this up. All right, this has been Suspend Disbelief. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. So give us a follow. Check out our other shows. Check out the last episode with these two. It was a good time, and hopefully I'll get these guys on a whole lot more. So, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. Hit us up on Instagram or YouTube, or send us an email at skullcrawlerfilms@gmail.com if you have any scary stories, or if you want to come on the show, or if you think that you'd be have a good story, or whatever. We're looking for some good storytellers, specifically Indigenous. Doesn't have to be to America. It could be Latino, whatever. I want to hear some good stories. But yeah, hit us up. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. As always, sleep with one eye open, and thanks for wearing your brown pants. Sign offs, guys.
Christ is king.
Hey, let's go. Have a good night.